it's hard to give that person space. But I think if somebody's asking for space, give them the space, because they're either trying not to say something to you that they're going to regret later, because stuff, we all do it. It wants to come out in the heat of the moment, stuff you don't really mean, or stuff that does need to be talked about, but you wouldn't talk about it the way you want to in the heat of the battle, So give them the space, give them the time, but it also does need to be talked about and not just brushed under the rug.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm here today with my beautiful wife, Emily Shoup, and we're going to reflect on our last 20 years of marriage, the ups, the downs, and share some valuable insight that I hope will help make your marriage better. Check it out. Emily Shoup. What's up?
Hey.
Good to have you here.
Back again.
This is the third time, round 3. Mm-hmm. Back by popular demand.
Good. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
I like doing this with you.
Yeah, last 2, we talked about all kinds of stuff. Being married and business and personality styles and raising kids, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about today? We've talked about so much, but we recently celebrated 20 years. That was just a few days ago. We took a trip prior to that, so we celebrated a little bit early, did a cruise. It was fun. And we would bump into everybody. 20 years. What's your secret? What's your advice? And we got asked that all the time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't answer it at first. I just didn't know. And then started thinking about it. And then we started talking about it. So talk about that. What were we telling people?
I think it depends on how people asked with what we were telling them. Some people just want a super basic, like, non-answer.
Small talk.
It's kind of like, how are you? I'm fine, type of thing. Or like a guy's trying to sell you some expensive face product, so he pretends he cares.
We got sold.
Yeah, we did get sold.
You got sold. I did not have. You didn't give me the out signal. Like I thought you wanted to buy this stuff. Joey, worked. We got sold. This
it worked.
Stuff.
We fell for it. Squirrel. But no, I mean, I think there are lots of things that go into it. God. Lots of prayer, and lots of hard work are the 2 biggest things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard people say, marriage should be easy. Like, it should be easy to be with the person you're with. And that's just, I don't know where anybody gets that idea, because it's not easy to have friendships. It's not easy to relate with anybody, really, because everybody's different and have their own baggage. And so that phrase has always weirded me out a little bit.
Yeah. One of the things that we mentioned, and maybe this is just the small talk, but I think there's something to it, is marry your best friend.
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, your friendship is the initial thing. So if you're just in it for lust or this person's hot or whatever, like, that goes away. That stuff goes away. You get wrinkles, the new shine of everything fades away. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a friendship to fall back on, and if you don't work on that friendship, your whole marriage, you got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people were surprised, and I think this is legal, what we did, but we left the kids home alone. We went 5,000 miles. Like, we didn't just go to Kentucky or something. We flew to Rome.
We did.
And then we got stuck there. I mean, we left a 16 and 13-year-old home alone.
Yep.
They were 4 days at the house, and the house was still standing when we got back. And then
standing.
4 days with your parents.
Yeah.
But people were surprised by that. Like, you actually took the time. I think that's super important. Right? Yeah. So how do you carve out time, be intentional? You don't need to go fly across the world, but just start with a dinner date.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of friends, just people I know, they're in the busy season, whatever that is, and they don't make that time. And then they forget, and they become wired to not have that time. Mm-hmm. Then kids move out of the house. Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we start doing that? Did we talk about that and intentionally do that? Is that just kind of wired into us? Because I know I feel like we've done that well.
We have, and we've done that since Riley was born. So we started it. Mm-hmm. I think we intentionally did it, from what I remember. Yeah. New date nights were important. And, after Riley was born, I had postpartum anxiety. Mm-hmm. So that was really hard for me. Everything made me anxious, though. Going on a date made me anxious. If we didn't go on a date, I would have gotten anxious. It was just that chemical imbalance happening. But we still started it then. You made me go. Yeah. And this year you've made me go on trips without the kids. And we started with an overnight.
Yeah, I had to do the hard sell, Joey.
It was great, though.
Yeah,
it's great.
No, but it was
Glad you
that
did
just
that.
speaks to our personality styles, I think,
Yes.
and how that played out. Because I'm like, let's fly all the way over here and just do something crazy and big and adventure. And I didn't think about it. We're like, how does this logistically work? And
Yes.
yeah, we slowly processed through that and then just did it.
And when I say you made me, it's not like you forced me to go, twisted my arm behind my back and threw me in the car. But you did have to convince me to do it, which I'm glad you did because it was great. But we also talked about going every month for an overnight to lead up to this big trip, which we did not do. So it's kind of like one overnight and then we're in Rome.
No, we did. Didn't we do two? I thought we did two.
One.
No,
We did
just
one.
the one in Fort Collins. No, we did one in Fort Collins, and then didn't we do something in Denver?
Nope.
No,
We talked about it.
we talked about it, but
never
didn't do it. Okay, so we just jumped
But
in.
that's okay.
So maybe just jump in.
We just jumped in, and that was good for me. But I was very nervous about that this time, but it went really well.
If somebody's watching this, they think that's absolutely crazy. Hey, we couldn't do this with our kids. How did we vet, or what filters did we use to decide that we think they could handle that?
Well, for one, we have responsible kids. I mean, they're kids.
Yeah.
They make mistakes just like everybody else. But as a whole, they're really responsible and good kids. So we knew that they would be okay and safe. We have friends on backup. They had a list of people they could call if they got scared or something went wrong. The neighbors were there. And, Riley had to work some of the time, so Haley was home. And thankfully, great friends stepped up, invited her over to their house.
Thank you, Hokems.
Yes, thank you, Hokems. She got to play with their kids and not be home alone all day like I was worried she would be. That was a huge, huge stress relief for me taken off because I was really worried about that. But, that's just kind of what we did. And, Riley's a good driver, and we said, hey, you're going to drive down to Colorado Springs and back up again. And that was a big drive for a 16-year-old.
That was a big thing for them.
Brand new.
Yeah.
But I think that also makes him feel responsible and manly and step into that responsibility. And I think that was a really good thing for both of them.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a fun trip.
That was a really fun trip.
So as I'm thinking the whole, was that just marry your best friend, which is important, but we kind of gave that as the general answer because maybe we didn't want to talk too much more to those people. We had a couple of good conversations with a few people that we spent some time with. And we talked about the importance, you and I were talking about this offline the other day, of understanding each other's stories and where we come from and what we carry from that. And when things get real or heated or there's stress, I know what I do. You know what you do. And each time that happens, it doesn't mean we still do it, but it seems like each time it happens, the window of time that we take to realize it, talk about it, hit a reset, gets smaller.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I would say so over time.
Yeah.
Because, when you first get married, and we've kind of talked about this before, you don't know any of that stuff. So, it takes time to learn. And now 20 years in, we don't do it perfectly, and we still can get offended when the other person acts the way we know from 20 years they're going to act.
And we know it's coming. We know it's coming.
You know it's
right?
coming.
Yeah.
But, I think you're right. The window of time where you're offended or hurt by it or whatever is smaller and smaller because you start really understanding and being able to hash it out and really talk it through. Yeah.
So to help people understand, because it's a great general concept maybe, but share an example. So you share, I'm just trying to think of something last time.
Okay. I think I touched on this before, maybe. I can't remember if it was here or if it was with friends, but for example, one thing I didn't know about you at the beginning was if you are scared or really worried about something, you come across as if you're angry.
I do.
Yeah. Which you're not. That's just your get it done.
That's my core default emotion that comes out.
Yeah, but you're not really angry. So when I almost died, in Spain.
We should talk about that. That was crazy.
Did we talk about that?
We haven't
before?
talked about
I don't
that.
want to
No.
bore everybody again. apparently am deathly allergic to eel, and I ate some and went into anaphylactic shock and almost died. We didn't know it was happening because we didn't know I was allergic to it. But you would come into the room and just, what are you doing? You're fine. Get up, And later I find out you were terrified and actively searching for help for me outside of there.
We were in Spain for the summer. You ate bad baby eel.
Well, just baby eel in general.
Is any eel good? It's bad baby eel.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you've been drinking? You seem drunk. Like you look drunk. You were stumbling around up and down the street.
Good. No, that was at the end.
That was at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was scary.
But you were bad. Like fingers were purple.
Dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a scary time for all of us. But you came across as angry, and I'm like, I don't feel good. Why is he mad at me?
Yeah.
But that's just something I've learned over time is that like you're not angry. You're just in business mode, kind of. You're like in get it done, do it now, fix the situation.
Well, I think I learned in stressful situations, and when stuff comes up, that's what I saw defaulted to a lot and picked that up, and that's just where I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's part of it.
Okay.
What about you for me?
I think you go to shutdown mode.
Yeah. Okay.
I say some of the time is shutdown mode. Other times like analytical mode. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of a time when that's happened.
Probably any time. Since that's probably my default.
Yeah. No, but I think it's important okay, something's coming up. Something happens, one of the spouses responds a certain way. What does that really mean? Where does that come from? And then just having space to know that's going to happen. Because like being mad when you're dying from baby eel is probably not a good reaction. But that's just where I go sometimes.
And I really don't think you're mad though. You're just in like fix it, do it now mode.
Yeah.
Something's
probably
wrong.
Gotta fix it.
It just comes across intense.
Yeah. And then you couldn't eat seafood the whole summer.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
And then found out
okay.
You weren't allergic to seafood at all.
Yep, just eel.
Oh, and gluten.
And gluten. Yeah, gluten too.
Totally. Yeah.
But no, that's good. And the window of time gets shorter. Because you're right. I can shut down if I think here's an example. Like if something happens with us, you go into fix it mode and come across as angry, and I go into shutdown mode.
And you cry.
And get
usually,
offended.
Right? Or cry.
Or cry. Yeah. Sometimes it depends.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we logically think about it, we're just doing our thing, and then we can talk it out.
Well, it's been super interesting too, because I think Riley goes there, and he and I'll bump heads a lot. And you said this the other day. It was something stupid.
Yep.
Was it like he was cooking rice or something stupid? And
it was dumb. I don't even remember. We both started
popping off. You're like, you guys both respond the same way.
I'm like, you guys are the same person. You're the same person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. You mentioned something like a little bit ago. Want to jump back to it because we didn't talk about it on the other episodes, but the postpartum thing.
Oh, yeah.
With Riley. So it's 2007. He's born. We're just married 3 years, about 2.5, 3 years at that point.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't a talked about thing as much, I don't think, back then. Mm-hmm. So just take everybody through that. Like what were you experiencing? What was going on? Because it was different between Riley and Haley.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, people were just starting to talk more about postpartum depression. So I knew that was a thing. But I wasn't depressed, and I knew that. So I didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't realize that postpartum anxiety was also a thing. That part wasn't either talked about or known as much about. I don't know what the deal was, almost 17 years ago now. But it was intense. I think part of the reason my body went to that, because it's a chemical imbalance, just like any anxiety and depression and stuff, is, do you want me to? So I had labored for a long time. I had pushed for 2 hours. He was stuck And they were like, okay, now we have to do a C-section. And when they did the C-section, it was super traumatic for me and him. And I lost a lot of blood to the point where they were debating whether I should have a blood transfusion or not.
You were so close.
I was so close to needing one. I was right on that cusp. They didn't tell us that until after everything was done, which I don't appreciate. I think knowing now what I know, they should have given me one. Also knowing I'm celiac, I don't absorb iron. And they knew that my iron was very, very low during pregnancy. We didn't know that I had celiac disease then, but I don't absorb iron very well. So I can't give blood ever because it drops my iron so low. It takes me a long time to recover. So losing that giant amount of blood in childbirth, I think it really did me in. I think the combination of being exhausted, having a new baby, and you don't know what you're doing. Your body's just doing this massive hormone dump that it always does after pregnancy and birth anyway. And then losing all that blood, my body just, I don't know, did what it did. So anyway, I could feel my brain slipping. I felt like I was losing my mind. It was a very scary time for me. We were, still fairly newly married.
Yeah, we're still young. We're 26.
We were 25 when he was born. I was 25, I think.
Yeah.
So, we'd only been married 3 years. Yeah, because we were 22. So, we're still newly married, still figuring things out about each other. Brand new parents with this newborn, and I'm like, I held him all day. I could not be away from him. It worried me to be away from him, but I also couldn't sleep. It was taking me a long time to recover, and I felt like I was going insane. It was scary.
Looking back, because you didn't realize, we've talked about this, you didn't realize in the moment what was going on.
Yeah.
But looking back, was there that first moment? So if a mom's listening to this, because I think this happens, right? From women you talk to.
A lot.
And nobody talks about it. We had one gal on here, I can't remember who, briefly mentioned it. We didn't get into it. But I think it's important.
Yeah.
If somebody's feeling some of these things, what would be things to look for? Looking back, when was that first moment where you're like, I should go get help? Or check this out, right?
Yeah. Since I had been told about postpartum depression, I was just confused because I knew I wasn't depressed. Everybody's dealt at some point with depressive episodes in their life, whether they've had full-blown depression or not. So I knew I wasn't there. I wasn't worried that I was going to harm the baby or myself, and that's one of the big markers for postpartum depression. But I was anxious about everything. Everything, panic attack, anxious, am I going to eat chicken today or not chicken? Like just the stupidest things. Yeah. I have to go out to the store today. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like full-blown panic attack. Oh my gosh, I have to stay home today. What am I going to do all day at home? I don't want, it was like any opposite thing you could think of. It made no sense, and I knew that. And it felt like there was a split in my brain. It was nuts. Like I felt like I was losing my mind.
Is the paint or roof on your home or business starting to look a little shabby? If so, reach out to one of our sponsors, M&D Painting and Roofing. M&D Painting and Roofing is a full-service residential and commercial painting and roofing contractor in Northern Colorado. And full disclosure, I'm the M in M&D. Check them out at mandpainting.com. Are you a small business trying to navigate all of the landscape of digital marketing and don't know where to go? Reach out to one of our sponsors, Imprint Digital. They are the go-to source for all things digital marketing. They are the producers of this podcast, and they run all of the marketing for all of my companies. Check them out at imprint-digital.com.
And then...
and I had no idea this was going on.
Yeah, I think everybody was just like, she's like, something's going on, but what's happening? We had friends at the time tell us they were pregnant. And I was like, well, you're going to hate it. I did. That's what I said to them.
Congratulations.
Like,
you're going to hate it.
You are going to hate it.
Yeah.
And that's just where I was. my brain wasn't functioning correctly. So I remember their eyes were like, what is happening? Everybody's like, what is going on? And so when I went to the doctor for 6 weeks postpartum, you take a test to see if you have postpartum depression. And I checked no for everything except there was a box for anxious. And I circled that thing. And I said, I am so anxious. And they were just like, okay, well, you don't have postpartum depression. And it was very much not, I hope anyway, that they look more for that now. Yeah. But they didn't even talk to me about it, really.
Did that just subside? I'm trying to think back. Did it just go away? Did things re-regulate?
Yeah, eventually. For me, it took 3 months. It was 3 months, and then after that point, I started feeling normal again, and my brain started working normally again. But one thing that helped me greatly was I went to a breastfeeding support group, and I was telling the lady who was leading this group about I'm not happy, but I'm not depressed. I'm anxious about everything. I told people, like, you're not going to want to have kids, all this stuff. And she was just listening to me, and she's like, you have postpartum anxiety. And just to have a name to it, just to know that that's what it was, and it was a thing, and I wasn't going crazy.
Yeah.
It helped.
That provides just some relief there.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, okay, this is a thing. I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. I'm not going crazy. Look at me. I'm tearing up.
That's okay.
But, yeah.
Appreciate you sharing, though.
Yeah. It's important, Yeah. Yeah. And
we've had friends and people we know that just not too long ago, somebody we know was going through that, and right there, like we knew. I think we knew before they knew, and you might have even said something. Yeah, so that's huge.
Yeah, I talked to her about that and told her some things that helped me, and at the time too, there was not. Once I knew what it was, I could talk to my doctor about it. You all right there? And at the time, she said, well, if you want anxiety medication that would help you regulate again, you're going to have to stop breastfeeding. And I was not going to do that. Yep. That was really important to me. So I chose not to and fight through it. But I think now they do have something that you can take and still breastfeed. But I know a lot of moms also choose not to, because then it's one of those things as a mom where you're like, do I take the medication so I feel better? But then the baby's getting the medication if you're breastfeeding. Or do you struggle through it? Or do you stop breastfeeding at that point? I think that's such an individual fight that moms have to decide and go through. But yeah, it was good. So then when we went to the hospital to have Haley, I told them, like, you are taking the baby into the nursery when she's born, and you're letting me sleep at night, until she, of course, has to come back and eat. And they fought me on that, and I fought back. You got to stand up for yourself, I think, especially with doctors and stuff. Yeah. And I said, no, this is postpartum anxiety happened to me last time. One of the things I couldn't do.
Wrote it off a little, tried to write it off.
They did try to write it off. And I said, one of the things that I need is sleep. And I know that. And I didn't get it when I had Riley. So you are taking her. And just bring her back when she needs to eat. Yeah. And for me, that was helpful. And it was also a totally different birthing experience and stuff like that, which helped too.
Well, we knew what to expect. Yeah. We knew you were going to get C-section.
Yep. And I didn't lose the blood.
You had a way more handsome doctor.
Yes. That is true.
That could be a fun story.
Yeah, that's a story for another time.
We'll save that if you come back on podcast 4.
There you go.
That's okay. I like it. We'll hook them a little bit. Keep them coming back.
Yeah.
But it was. Do you think just the knowledge of knowing what it was and that you went through it, and then we started talking about it? Because we started talking about it. You were scared to death. I think you were pretty scared going into Haley of like, I don't want to have this again.
Yeah,
right?
It was definitely a concern.
And we talked about it. Do you think that helped, prevent it? Or was it just the knowledge of what it is and seeing if those cues were there, and then they just weren't, right? Or
They
did you
just weren't
experience
that
anything?
time.
They just weren't.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I still had the hormone dump after pregnancy, but that's super normal. It just didn't happen that time. I don't think you can prevent it or not. I actually lost a friendship because somebody got very offended that I got postpartum anxiety because they had told me about their postpartum depression, and they thought I shouldn't have gotten that if I would have listened to them about their story. And it doesn't work that way. It's a chemical imbalance. So it's nothing personal. If your spouse or friend gets postpartum issues, has nothing to do with you.
So for the husbands, because I had no idea. I was new to this. Yep. My brain still wasn't fully developed, right? I was 25. Like that doesn't happen until right about then. So I'm still figuring it out, right? But I don't think I was supportive in that, right? So what can husbands do for wives that think they're going through that or know they're going through that?
That's a good question. I don't know. Because I didn't know how to talk to you about it either, because I didn't know what was happening to me.
We didn't really know how to communicate back then.
Probably not.
As well as we
not
do,
as well as
now,
we do
right?
now. I don't know. Just, you're not going to understand it because your brain isn't going through it. But whatever your wife is going through, like, that is legit in her head. So you need to pay attention to it. I think some people just brush it under the rug or think you're being dramatic or whatever. And there's such a massive hormone shift. Like, you cannot help what is happening with your body.
And it's like all, and I slept more than you did because I was early riser. Mm-hmm. We had somewhat of a schedule. You took way more of it though.
Well, I had to. I was breastfeeding.
But all the attention's on the baby.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking about what I need. I'm not thinking about what you need, because it's like, what is this little creature? How do we keep it alive? Every cry, you're trying to figure out what that means, mm-hmm. right? So just taking a minute to just step away from baby. Baby will be okay. What does wife need?
Yeah.
What do we need? How can we help each other?
Yeah.
It's wild times.
It was wild times. I think diet and stuff is also important at that point, because you just had a baby. You need to up your iron. You're breastfeeding. You need a lot more calories than you did before, because that takes a lot of calories. And so maybe he can cook for her and stuff like that.
I cooked you a paella, didn't I?
No, not back then. I don't
think
you were doing that back then.
Okay.
But, like making sure she has a great balanced meal with like good proteins and carbs and, whatever.
We talked about this a little while ago, but I remember when we were getting ready to have Riley, our first kid, and we're like, we're just not ready. And I always felt like we needed to be, we're not there financially, whatever that was. But like, what do you say to young couples? Because looking back, we had no idea. We weren't ready. It happens. And I feel like you just figure it out.
Yeah.
You work with what you've got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, waiting for finances to be at a certain place isn't necessarily realistic. Because then I think when you get to that place, you would rather have them be at another place, and you make it work. I don't know. Nobody's ever ready. You think you're ready. I totally thought I was ready to have kids because I nannied a lot. I babysat a lot growing up. That was my thing. I knew I loved kids. But when they're yours, and it's like you birthing them and going through the pregnancy and birth and everything like that, it's a lot. Or even, if you're adopting your children or whatever, like you still go from, no matter how many times you've watched somebody else's kids, like you haven't had your own.
Yeah.
So it's a very different experience.
It totally is. Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. Because I think a lot of people can benefit from that.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah. So talk more too. Total shift.
Okay.
Being married to entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I thought we did something super, super cool the other night with this idea that we've had come up. And we finally got to a point where it's like, okay, this has come up. Poke holes in it. Let's figure this out. Mm-hmm. And I think that was maybe the best way that we've handled or approached a new venture or idea. But just to kind of take people back through the journey of being the wife married to an entrepreneur, and just with overlaying your personality style and just what was going through your mind, how that played out. Because it played out in not healthy ways sometimes. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about that before. It's just my personality style. I think things through a lot. I analyze them. So when you say we're doing something or you have an idea, if I were to say that, I would have thought through every angle of it before I brought it up. So it would be happening. This would be something we were doing. But when you say it, it's like you have a million ideas. So when you would bring things up, I would get scared because I was thinking all these new, shifts and things are coming up.
Yeah.
And most of them ended up not ever happening. So I would panic, immediately poke holes in the idea.
So I'm excited.
Because I'm analyzing it. I'm figuring out wait a minute, how is this going to work? What about ABC? After that's fixed, you still got all of these other problems. So then you would get offended that I didn't like your idea and love it. But over the years, we've gotten better about realizing that, for one, and then talking it through. Yeah. But no, I think we handled it the best we ever have before, too. You had an idea. It's come up multiple times over the years. I don't remember how I handled it then. Probably poked holes in it. I don't know. But it's come back around so many times. This is now actually looking like it's going to happen. And you brought it up again, and I just listened. And I said, that's great. And you asked me for the first time, you said, okay, poke holes in this idea. What are the downsides? I'm not seeing it.
All angles. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciated that, because it's not like I'm trying to pop your idea balloons. I just see it from a working angle instead of a dream angle, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to put that?
It really is. Yeah, because, and stereotyping here a little bit, or maybe putting the relationships we see a lot maybe into a box, but you typically have the entrepreneur, they're the dreamer, they're jump off a cliff with an idea, no parachute, don't know how they're going to get the people down, no parachutes for them. So this is great, gets really excited, and it's they just fire, they don't aim. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times the other partner is the more analytical. They're like, hey, slow down, let's measure this, let's plan this out. So that's you.
Yep.
And then I'm the other way. Yeah. So I think for the entrepreneur, when they have an idea, what's I think helped us, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this has helped, is, hey babe, got an idea. And then I see you go, oh man, I have an idea. I just want to share it. I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if we're going to do this. It's an idea. It's in my head. We have so many ideas in our head running around. They just need to get out. If you've got junk in your life or business that you need removed, reach out to one of our sponsors, Hulk Addicts. They are a full-service junk removal company, and they'll be able to take care of you at your home or your business to get rid of whatever you don't want. Check them out at hulkaddictsjunk.com. If you're a Christian small business owner, you have to check out one of our sponsors, the Foundry Advisory. They are a Christian peer advisory community here in Northern Colorado and the Front Range that is designed to give you encouragement, support, and insight to grow your business with other like-minded Christian business owners. Not only are they a sponsor and a partner of this podcast, but I'm also a member of their community. Check them out at thefoundryadvisory.com. As a small business owner, one of the things we will always need to address is a space to run our business. If you're looking to do a small tenant finish, maybe even build a building from the ground up, you've got to reach out to one of our sponsors, Mendel Construction. They are a full-service commercial contractor that can take care of your business needs to build the space and place of your dreams to run your business. Check them out at mendelandcompany.com.
Yeah.
It just needs to get out. I just need to tell somebody. That's it. I just want somebody to hear, smile, say okay. I think leading with, hey, we're not doing this. This is a cool idea.
Yes.
And you go, awesome.
Yes.
Like, I don't need you to poke holes in it. So I think you've learned, or you've responded differently with, awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then I'll get back to like cooking eggs and forget what I even talked about. Like it's that quick sometimes, those ideas.
It is.
Right.
I'm poking holes in it in my brain though, just so you know.
That's fine. Yeah. Poke away. Yeah,
I'm just not sharing.
Yeah. Yep. And then I think you've also, when I share this, you say, there's been sometimes when I don't lead with that. Babe, I've got an idea. What about this? Pop, pop, pop. Mm-hmm. Cool. Did you just want to share that with me? Do you want to dive into it? Do you just want to share?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to do. Okay. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, cool. But yeah, the other night, so we've had this idea pop up 6 times. We won't talk about it yet because it's coming soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be so much fun. But it's come up 5, 6 times. And even here at the company, we've just shut it down because there were 2 things that couldn't be addressed. So it didn't make sense. But yeah, we sat down the other night. I said, we have to look at this again. This I think can make sense at this point. And then I almost gave you that permission to analyze this from all angles. And we did and agreed what needed to be addressed. And once that did, we're moving forward with it.
Yep.
Sweet.
It's exciting.
So how do you deal with that as the analyzer?
I've had to learn to not think about it too much. If that makes sense. Because at the beginning you'd share a bunch of ideas, and in my head we're doing this now. So I would get like over and over, rolling them over in my brain like it was happening. And then most of them didn't. So I almost went down all these roads without ever needing to go down those roads. So I've learned to just kind of listen and then chuck it out and forget about it. And then if it does come up multiple times, then we have a talk. But yeah, that's it. I got to check it out.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. What would you say have been so we're 20 years into this, right? Seems like a really long time, but also not at the same time. But what are just some other things, other takeaways?
It's a lot of, like I said, it's just a lot of work. But when you love each other and it's your best friend and it's a lot of prayer, you're going to do it. You're going to work at it. And it's fun. It's fun. I like being with you.
You're fun.
We had an awesome trip.
That was fun.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Do you want to share anything about that?
So Joey, he's probably wanting to know. We stopped in Greece somewhere. We're walking through the streets. We had just painted these really cool mosaics. I thought it was going to be the boringest thing.
Made them.
You signed us up. You signed us up for a mosaic workshop. I'm like, this is going to be boring. And that's what I thought.
No, I know.
I was not looking forward to it.
I know.
This is dumb. But you really wanted to do it, so just let's give it a shot. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Sitting there, made little mosaics. So we're carrying these things like pizzas because you have to lay them flat. And this really flamboyant, outgoing.
He was awesome.
Man.
He was fun.
Pops out of the store.
Yeah.
Well, he was
awesome.
getting ready to do what he's about to do. We're about to talk about. He pops out. Oh, what do you got in the bag? Mosaics. Oh, cool. Come in. Have a drink. Sit down.
Tell me about marriage. Yeah.
Tell me about marriage. What? And he asked us the same question.
Yeah.
Sits us down in the chair.
Sold us some good. He was a great salesman. And I told you that. I said, we are being sold right now. You knew. I knew. We all knew it was happening. Yeah. I'm like, he's a phenomenal salesman. I really enjoyed him. He was awesome. Yeah. He was kind of a highlight of the trip. But anyway. Yeah. So anyway, we bought some stuff we normally wouldn't buy. That's okay.
That's what you do.
It happens.
Vacation.
Matt, did you not catch that?
Catch what?
Him giving you the hard sale?
No.
Oh, dude, he was selling the shit out of us, man.
But you were just
you
were just in it.
It was so obvious that that's what was happening, but he was fun and I really enjoyed him. And we're like, all right, this stuff actually works.
But we've been in this scenario, and maybe this is like great advice. Couples going out to buy a car. We're going to buy a car. We know going into something, hey, we are just looking. Here's the tell. I'll kick you under the table. Or there's a phrase. Right. We've done this, like cars, big things. Remember we got sold that membership by that dude in the warehouse?
Yes.
With selling caskets. But we didn't know back then. That was the first time.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You don't want to die without a casket. Got us. He hooked us. But we didn't know what we were going into, so we didn't know how to get out of it. And yeah,
we didn't buy because of the caskets. We bought because of the cabinets.
No, it was cabinets and caskets.
It was everything.
It was this like wholesale Costco membership, but there really wasn't a
It
Costco.
wasn't Costco, yeah.
No, it was this warehouse in this really seedy part of Denver.
Yep.
And this dude fresh out of prison just sold us. We were what? We were just married.
Like
we were in the
22,
condo.
probably.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We're like, you could buy cabinets and a washer and dryer here.
Oh, but yeah, that was a cool highlight of the trip was getting sold.
Yeah, but to bring it back to something you brought up, it made me excited because one piece of advice I would give people is to try something new with your spouse. Because there have been things I've tried that you've wanted me to do that I didn't think I would enjoy, and I have. And same with you. And one of the recent examples with that was the mosaic. You thought you would hate it. You told me you didn't want to do it. And I'm like, just please for me, I really want to have a mosaic that we can bring home. And you loved it. You
No, I
were
did.
like, I am zoning out. This is so peaceful. We should make mosaics at home. Like, and that's totally not, you're not the crafty, let's do crafts guy.
Not like that. Not like that kind of creative. But no, that was super cool. We have that hanging on the wall.
You're very creative. You just don't do the physical craft type of creativity.
No.
And I love it. And I was so happy that you were going to do that for me. And then you ended up loving it. And that made me really happy. And they're extra special now because of that.
Yeah, those were cool.
And yeah. So other cool parts of our trip, we went on a cruise, a European cruise.
Yep.
On a celiac cruise.
We
which was
did.
awesome for me because I could eat all of the food. Made me so happy. Love celiac cruise.
Shout out. Shout out.
Go on one if you have celiac or just gluten intolerance. It's awesome. You don't have to worry about what you're going to eat. We got some big bucket list items checked off.
We did. Yeah.
And it was so good. I highly recommend if you can pull it off to do, like, start saving now, however long you've been married, for a big, like, 20th anniversary thing. That was so fun.
And we talked about that. Like we started just putting a little bit away. Yeah, do that.
Absolutely. That was great. Italy was awesome.
Saw Pompeii.
Saw Pompeii. That was very cool.
What was
Got to see
crazy?
Ephesus. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Pompeii, what was crazy. So we're walking through and they're telling you how everybody dies, right?
Yeah.
They're explaining the history, all the history and everything. And then they tell you how everybody dies. They point up to the mountain. They're like, this thing is still active, right? Like, so this could happen now.
Yeah.
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 They were kind of dirty bastards too. So they take you in Pompeii, remember this? To a brothel.
Yeah.
And the guy explains that they have murals up on the wall that depict the different things that you can do when you go in there. They're like, so people would stop by. They maybe spoke the language, maybe not, but they would just point.
Point to a
and they
picture.
literally had.
And it was very
all
well
this on the wall.
preserved because everything got, that obviously the brothel was one thing, but everything was so well preserved because of how, what happened to the city. It was so cool to see. Like you could see the colors that they would, paint on their walls and have in the mosaics on their walls. And it was so interesting. So yeah, Pompeii was very cool. We got to go to Ephesus. That was awesome. Be in Turkey, do that. Because we got that canceled once on another cruise. So
I thought I bought real saffron from that guy, but I didn't.
You got taken.
I got taken.
Fake saffron.
I get scammed a lot for being, I think I'm such a good business guy, but I get scammed. It's only internationally. I get robbed. Right. The kids are like, this dude walked up, took Dad's phone out of his hand.
And you just let him.
And Haley had
he
it.
was being nice.
Get it back.
You do. And I don't know why. I think you're so excited to be there and be a part of the culture that you forget.
No, I'm so on point here and just in that zone here is that when I go over there, it's Spain a lot. I just unplug.
Yes. Too much, a little
bit. It's okay.
We were in Rome at the Colosseum, and this guy comes up to talk to you. He's asking you all these questions, and you told me afterwards you genuinely thought
I thought he wanted to be my friend. This guy, he's a guy from Africa. He's like, "What's up, my friend?" And we started talking. And said something about my shirt, right? The jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. You were very surprised because he tried to hand me something. He kind of tossed me something, and
you were such a jerk. No, you threw it at him. I
kept my hand there and just let it fall on the ground because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to touch what they give you because then they walk off and then they can say you took it or they say it's in your hand. You have to buy it now. It's a huge scam. And so you just took it and you're like, oh, this is so cool. And I'm like, no. And I took it
And you threw it at him.
tossed it back at him. You're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, he is scamming us.
And I was sad. I'm like, this guy didn't want to be my friend.
You were.
No,
and
what did he
it's very
called me
cute.
Rambo, right? Didn't he say, hey, Rambo?
I don't
Something
know.
like that. Yeah.
But you were very cute. You genuinely thought he wanted to be your friend. He doesn't want to be your friend.
Thanks for having my back.
You're welcome. I
Thank
got you.
I got your back here and, wherever over
Yeah.
there. I have it a couple times, right?
Yes, it's a lot.
Dang. I gotta check into that. I gotta get
think-
help for that.
No, you're such a people person and you love people and you love talking with people from different cultures and stuff that I think you get
Yeah, I
really
do.
happy that they're talking. And unfortunately, a lot of
Mm.
times it's just to sell you something.
What was cool in Turkey and Greece, I thought, maybe not as much in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Italians were cool. But in Turkey especially, we learned just hello,
Yeah.
thank you, ordering tea. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And they were so surprised.
Yeah.
Like you just travel somewhere, learn just a couple basic words.
Just a couple basic
They were
words.
like-
Yep.
it was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was
is
fun. Yeah, that was really cool.
We had a great trip.
Mm-hmm.
What else was good on that? We got to go to a museum I like,
Yeah.
see some art.
That was a cool museum.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got stranded at the end.
We did.
Hey, American Airlines, you guys suck. Never fly you again. I don't know if you'll ever hear this or watch this, but they suck.
They did. They canceled
They do.
a lot of
they suck.
international flights for people trying to get home, which is, it's one thing. It's a huge frustration to have like a, continental flight canceled. You can't get a couple states away. You have to rebook or whatever. But when you're trying to come home from overseas,
Yeah.
to have your flight canceled is pretty brutal. But
Get a couple more days over there.
we got another day in Rome, so I am not too mad at them for that.
Yeah, that was good.
But, had our kids been younger or with a babysitter or whatever, that would have been a huge hassle. We were able to just call our kids and say, hey, we can't come home until Tuesday instead of Sunday. But that was okay. They did
It was a
fine.
good time.
Because
Yeah.
they got to, have another night of a kegger.
Yeah.
Kegger. We had a little drink, and they had those spritzers over there. Those were good.
Yeah,
The Italian
so he was
spritzers?
talking about our kids.
Kids?
have a
Oh,
kegger.
their kids having keggers?
Your
No.
kids.
They're so good.
No.
One more night of keggers.
No, Riley will
He will
he
never.
will not touch alcohol.
He doesn't touch sugar right now. He's in such.
He drinks water, eats creatine.
He's getting jacked. I
huge.
saw a picture of him.
huge.
He's
Yeah.
looking, yeah.
He's huge. Yeah.
And then he he gets his In-N-Out meal, and he just stacks like 5 burgers and 20 pickles, right?
And then y'all got to deal with that smell when he gets home.
Yeah.
His clothes smell like In-N-Out all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And football.
And football. Yeah.
Well, I got a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So I'm rounding 5 years.
Ooh, good job, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
End of this month. So you mentioned like way early on, the shutdown kind of. I have the same dynamic with Erica. If we get into an argument or we have some kind of big disagreement, I want to deal with it. I want to deal with it right there. I want to deal with it right then. I don't want to stew on it. I don't want to keep rehashing it. I just want to get it done.
Yep.
She does not. She does not want to deal with it right then. And she wants me to give her space so she can chill and all that. And I just have a very difficult time doing that. So I kind of have my own little ways, but how do you guys handle that?
I think it can depend because Matt will also shut down on me when he needs some time.
We'll both do it to each other.
We do.
I don't think
do it
one of
to
us
each other.
do it more than the other. We both do it.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. But it's hard to give that person space. But I think if somebody's asking for space, give them the space because they're either trying not to say something to you that they're going to regret later because
Yeah.
stuff, we all do it. It wants to come out in the heat of the moment, stuff you don't really mean. Or stuff that does need to be talked about, but you wouldn't talk about it the way you want to in the heat of the battle, So give them the space, give them the time, but it also does need to be talked about and not just brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
So I think setting a time like, hey, I need to like stew on this for a while. I don't want to talk anymore. Let's come back tomorrow morning. Or, there's also that thing about not going to bed angry though. So that's always been hard for me.
Yeah.
But give it time. Give her time to breathe.
I think whichever way it's going, because we've had it go both ways, is when you need the space, ask for it and have some kind of, when you're not in a fight, say, hey, when I tell you in these specific words that I need space, time, whatever you call it, respect it. Don't second guess it. 'Cause I remember there was one, we were getting into it. It was something.
Probably stupid.
It was stupid. And I got in the car and drove off.
Yeah, I did not like that at all.
I needed the space though. And I've done this to you, right? And you were like, but we're going to talk about this. I'm like, I'm leaving.
Yes.
Drove, came back. But because we didn't have those parameters, it wasn't clear. Hey, I need this. And you say, okay.
Yeah.
When you're ready, come back and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I also think if you need to drive away, and we've talked about this since, like if you really need to get out of the house and clear your head, you got to say, I will be back in.
Oh, do you think I was leaving forever?
Well, you just took off. You didn't tell me where you were going. You didn't tell me when you were going to be back. You just left. And so, I mean, we all handle things like this not the right way. And then you got to talk later. So now it's, if you need to take a drive, say you need to take a drive, you'll be back in half an hour to an hour or whatever. But then the other person has to let you go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for asking. That's a good question.
Good question, Joey.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so I'm like when I write, I tend to do better in those scenarios after a fight. Like if we're fighting, like I'll say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the wrong way, in the wrong tone of voice.
Yep.
And so I found like if I write it out, maybe later on that day or maybe the next day, if I write it out and I send it to her and I'm like, okay, this will get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Then that helps. And then we address it on like a walk with the dog or in a lower stake, lower stress environment.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that. I've done that too. Sometimes there are points you want to make sure that you talk about too. That, I don't know, I can get flustered in the moment and forget what I need to talk about. So having it written down can help with that too. So.
Well, thanks for coming on. This has been awesome.
Yeah. I'm happy
Round
to be
3
on again.
Complete.
Round 3 complete. And I'm excited for 20 more years with you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Hey, you got your card.
Oh,
Another card. We close them all out the same way.
That's
right. What do you got?
Like a third card.
Statement you're going to leave with the world on top of the amazing other 2 ones that you've already left here at the studio. What do you got?
It's just an awesome Bible verse this time when you need rest and are overwhelmed. So it says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And that's from Matthew 11:28.
Love it. Emily Shoup. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this week's episode. Would you make sure to please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel here? And please share this episode with somebody whose life it will make better. Are you a faith-based father and you want to have the adventure of a lifetime with your son? You have to check out the father-son hike of a lifetime on the Camino de Santiago in Spain. June of 2025, I'm going to be taking a small group of fathers and sons over to Spain. We are going to spend 6 days, hike 70 miles, have some of Spain's most amazing cuisines, see some of the most beautiful places and spaces, but most importantly, spend time together bonding with our sons. If you're interested in this adventure, check out mattshoup.com. When you get to the website, click the Gentle Art of Leadership button and hover down to the Father-Son Hike of a Lifetime.